Hang in there. It is.
Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
Welcome back to our second major championship recap journal of the 124th U.S. Open here in Pinehurst. Back on the pool deck. I mean, it's
hot enough to get in.
It's so tempting. It was baking out there today. I think it was like mid-90s. And I think the best place to start is the outfit you were wearing at maybe the hottest part of the day. I had Fridays with Smylie happy hour there on the 15th hole, the full Payne Stewart regalia. Like, what was our internal temp level to gauge?
100% swamp and 0% breathability. So, yeah, that's where we were at.
It's amazing they don't make those in performance fabric. It's a real shame.
A lot of heat, a lot of humidity down in there.
A lot of humidity on that set. I mean, golly, we have a picture that we're going to share later tonight with this episode where you were in that regalia, and I am wearing my child in a backpack. And I think both of us were generating sweat. Yeah, that's right. First time meeting Walker. Good to meet Anna Carter. She's adorable.
Thank you.
We got some good little pics of the two of them together, the future of the Smylie Show.
Yeah.
So that was that. You know, it's Father's Day weekend. Those types of things are heartwarming.
Is it? It is Father's Day weekend, isn't it? I was just like, I'm not all there. Long day. Can I just get into the happy hour?
Get right into the happy hour, man. That's what we're here for.
Man. It's like this is behind the scenes of like how you get guests on. Boy, was it a mess. You know, we had gone and tried to get a bunch of different guys. Everybody's saying no. We felt like we had Bryson yesterday confirmed. Then there was some issues on like timing and had to leave the course, which is understandable. It's the U.S. Open. He's in the final group.
Yeah.
So understandable that, like coming back from the house after you were just at the golf course isn't ideal. So the fact that he did it's great. But let me get into like the timeline here.
Okay. Hit us.
So I'm slightly freaking out for most of the day because I don't have a commitment from anybody that's a verbal yes. We have some soft verbals to start the day that started to trend to a no, and now I'm like, okay, who the heck are we getting? And I'm going on the board, I'm texting, I'm calling, and everybody's like, no, and I get it. Like, I'm like, dude, yeah, I get it.
It's U.S. Open.
I don't feel bad that you're like, I totally get it. And we get to about 3:45.
Wow, that close.
And we hear that Bryson might be back in. And this is 5 minutes before where I called Sepp. I'm like, Sepp, can you please come on? You made a hole-in-one. We just need somebody to give us something about the golf course. And Sepp's like, hell yeah, what time? I'm like, what? And Sepp's like, whatever, I'm
love
there.
to see it.
I'm like, thank you, Sepp. You're the best, by the way. He's a listener of the show. He's been on the show. And somebody that we definitely, back in Birmingham, we're going to do some stuff with him and his twin brother, Sam, at some point. But so now I got Sepp, and then and this is right before I'm kind of going back. I go up and I'm bringing you back, and I had just gone to our producer's office, who's already producing, and say, hey, we don't got anybody, and it's just like sweet. I'm like, well, I mean, this is kind of what can happen, and luckily, Bryson's in, Sepp's in. Now we can get the knickers out, get everything going, and rolling all the production elements. I was stressed out to all hell and back to try to get everybody on the same page with logistics, getting them in and out, and then trying to remember what I was supposed to ask him when I got there. But we got there, and it was good. Bryson was awesome. Sepp was great. So it was really stressful, way more stressful than any more of the happy hours, because it's a lot easier getting guys to come on a Friday of a PGA Tour event than Friday of a U.S. Open.
And look at where we ended up. All the nice things we've said about Bryson 2.0, all the karma paid off. He shows up. He actually, here's another insider nugget. He was signing autographs. I'm sure you saw him signing autographs, but two of my buddies from Hope Valley brought their sons. They saw that Bryson was signing. They ran over, signed a couple autographs for him. Couldn't have been nicer. So kudos to you, Bryson, for joining the set and signing autographs. And then we got the Ox, a.k.a. I call him the microwave, who was keeping the beers ice cold in the media center. Free beer, courtesy of Sepp and Francesco Molinari for the holes in one. So good on you. Thank you, Sepp. Thank you, Francesco. Tabs open. couple of aces on the day. Look at it all come together.
It's great. And I forgot to tell you this story yesterday about Bryson and Max.
Yes.
So we're a long wait on the 5th tee. It's par 5. It's probably a 10-minute wait at least. And Max was, I think, talking to Bryson about his Breaking 50 series on YouTube, where they play from the red tees and has a partner. And we're kind of going through who he's had, how close they've been. And I think I suggested, like, Bryson, I'd love to come on, and I'd be happy to help you break 50. And then Max, the witty Max that he is, he said he didn't say breaking 50 windows. And I was like, well said, Max.
That is amazing. The guy can roast. That's kind of his game.
I was like, man, that was
Breaking
quick,
50
and
windows.
it stabbed me in the heart, but it was a very, very accurate statement. And maybe I will come on and help him break 50 or break 50 windows. Those 50 windows would be houses that I'd hit with my driver.
It'd be kind of like the remember the old big break game they used to play where they were hitting balls through windows.
Yeah.
I have another story that's probably a lot less interesting, but I meant to tell it to you on the show yesterday because at the end of the show when I was scrambling to get the podcast up, content never sleeps, got to get the people to pod. I was sitting over there in the flash area eating my 7th piece of pizza of the day. I ate all the pizza that I brought for you, by the way. I should have never picked that up. And I was I was sitting on the floor with all my equipment like I was like a child at preschool being read to, packed all it up, had like 7 bags on my shoulders, and I'm walking out. I'm going past like the training room, the PGA Tour training room, and some guy like flags me down. He goes, are you here for a massage? And I looked at him and I was like,
yes.
Do you
Yes.
see, like, do I look like I'm a tour pro? A, B, I'll take you up on it. I mean, my body is in serious disrepair right now. I will take you up on it. I passed, but I was thinking about it. The last shuttle tonight was 10:30. Didn't want to miss it, but if I had a little more time, I would have got a nice little massage, a little deep tissue action.
And I didn't get to compliment you this on the show yesterday, but the merch, you have a problem, just like your putter problem. He's a big merch guy, and this is a good merch hat. And I don't want to feed into the fire because he'll just do this at every event we go to and get merch. And I wanted to ask you this because it's a white hat. It's got the blue bill, blue rope. Are you just going to wear blue shirts for like the next like month just to match this up? Like, are you wearing all blue now? I see you did it today.
I don't want to say what color this is out loud. I'm equating it to a Dodger blue. There's another blue this is in the color family of that I'm not going to name because of my...
Some might say Duke blue.
I didn't say it. He did. So that being the case, I don't have a lot of that blue in my wardrobe. So it's a really tough scene trying to match it. But we're going to do the best we can. I got a nice little amble shirt today.
You thought about it. You said, I'm going to wear a blue shirt to match the blue hat today.
You have to. You have to do it. Or you go counter and you go white shirt. What I do know is I told myself it was the one thing, my one rule for the week. Charlie, you're not buying another hat. And then I saw this hat and I said, well, I might have to get it.
Yeah.
I might have to get it. So we had some commenters that were asking where, 47 brand, good job. I don't know if you can get it online or not, but it's on my head, so I'm happy about that. Shall we talk some golf, Smylie?
Or should we just get in the pool and just see you tomorrow?
I would. I think at the end of tomorrow's episode, much like our PGA Championship recap where we just left the camera on and went and putted behind us, I think I'm going to end Saturday's episode by just walking right into that pool.
It's like a super shallow. It's only like 2 or 3 feet.
It's like 3 feet 6 inches, I believe.
Never mind. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Let's talk golf. Let's talk
speak
golf.
for yourself, buddy. Let's talk some golf because we had. It's a really interesting day because we have some big names that played poorly. We should probably talk about their performances because they all somehow made the cut for the most part, except for one that I want to talk about. But at the top of the leaderboard, Ludvig Aberg, I'm so sick that I used him the PGA and not the U.S. Open because he has all the makings of a U.S. Open thoroughbred. Drives it long, drives it straight, is an amazing, has an amazing approach game. He leads the field in driving accuracy, 93% fairways hit.
93%?
93%. He leads the field in greens and regulation at 83%, and that is with
83%?
83%. And that was with an off day in his book. Strokes gained approach, he was 74th today in the field, and still has hit 83% of his greens. The way he got it done today was putting. He was 6th in the field in strokes gained putting today, gained 2.66 shots to the field, and off the tee was 11th in the field. So he leads, he shoots 69 today. He's 5 under for the tournament, the solo leader. Smylie, do you know who the last player to win the U.S. Open on their first try was?
I'm going to go with Francis Ouimet.
Nailed it.
God,
Thank you,
I'm the
Bob.
best.
Thank you, Bob Herrick, for the stat. They might have mentioned that on the broadcast. I'm not sure.
We're gonna cue you to the greatest game ever played. We'll see you on the end.
It'll be like a little YouTube thumbnail. It just pops you out into Disney Plus or wherever you can find that. So let's talk a little Ludvig. I mean,
I got
the
you.
guy is just a machine.
So let's go back to 99. Let's go back to 2005 into 2014. I'm just going to talk about the GIR stat. None of those players hit more than 60% of their greens and won.
Wow.
So this is, maybe one of them was like 62%.
Okay.
But nobody was more than 65. I know that Payne was like 59%, and I believe Michael Campbell was kind of in that range as well. Anyways, what my point is, you just said 83%. That is incredible. This is. I mean, when we just look at the championships here in the past, it's been, can you just manage just all parts of your game and just not be bad in one area? Ludvig right now is just an elite ball striker. So is Bryson. Bryson said today on Happy Hour that he drove it well, but ended up in some weirder spots and kind of grinded it out. Kind of similar to how you said with Ludvig. The putter was good. But, man, that makes you have to feel like Ludvig's the guy to beat on the weekend. Or him and Bryson, to me, are the two dudes. I think it's going to be them two, and then you're going to find another guy in there as well. I'd love to see Rory be the other guy of the three, but holy crap, the stats, man, that you just spit it out by Ludvig. Yeah, U.S. Open thoroughbred potential.
Well, what's interesting is you're talking about, you can't really have a weak category. If you look at his strokes game profile this week, the one weak spot is around the green. How do you cover up if you're not, pitching it well? You hit 83% of your greens, and then you putt it like you putted it today, and then that probably gets you at the top of the leaderboard.
I watched Ludvig for probably about 45 minutes at TPC Sawgrass earlier in the year. Ludvig he was going to have a chance to win at Pebble Beach that people forget about.
That's right.
And he told me that, if I would have known it was a 54-hole event, I would have played so much differently down the stretch where Wyndham Clark ends up winning in a shortened 54-hole event. But really, up to that point, we had all these high expectations for Ludvig. Where is he going to win early in the year? But I think Scotty Scheffler just had put everybody aside. Xander Schauffele is the only other guy that's like, oh, I'm having a career type year. And Ludvig didn't necessarily start the year, at least the first quarter of the year, like we expected to. But then Augusta comes around. We're like, this is the guy we signed up for, and this is the guy we told you about. He's top 10 on the odds board, playing in Augusta, never played in a major, had already played in his first Ryder Cup. And now he goes to the U.S. Open, and we still, after a really fantastic Memorial, finishing in I think it was just inside the top 10, he comes here, and I still think we're like, I don't know yet. Is he there quite yet?
Part of that was the knee, right?
Yeah, he said everything is completely fine. There's been mixed reports on that. I asked him on the second fairway Memorial, how's your knee? He said, totally fine. I don't know exactly what's going on. It seems like his team wants to keep it that way if everything is fine. And then if something has to happen, they'll handle that internally so he doesn't have to deal with it. But it just makes me want to talk about it more.
Sure.
So,
the Streisand effect.
Yeah, listen, Ludvig Aberg. He's got to be on your list for everything, right? Like in the future for majors.
In the future for majors, but again, I mean, that's the
You've
one
been
where I'm
saying
like,
it too. You've been saying it.
Well, I just feel like such a dummy because you look at the type of player he is, and you're like, oh yeah, like he could win every U.S. Open for the next 10 years. The way that courses are generally set up for a U.S. Open, you got to drive it long, you got to drive it straight, and you got to be able to hold firm and fast greens. And like, that's exactly
Hits it
what
high,
Ludvig Aberg
plays
does.
quick,
It's his
plays
whole thing.
quick. His routine is awesome, and don't let me forget too. In all of this, it was really nice that Scotty Scheffler had to sweat out a cut to know what it feels like, just to know what it's like to be around the cut line.
Well, and I think there's a trio of guys I want to get into that were in that sort of family today. But I think for me that kind of put it in perspective. And it's not unfair to have been comparing Scotty to Tiger with his recent run of success, of just how amazing he's played. But today when he was about to miss the cut, it was like, wow, Tiger really was just on a completely different level. And that's another guy. Tiger had some quotes that you talked about at the end of the broadcast window today that we should cover to close this show. But to continue with Scotty, and I want to lump Brooks Koepka and Colin Morikawa in that group today, because where they ended up was Scotty shoots 74 today. He's 5 over. He's T57 last I checked. Brooks 75 today, 5 over for the tournament, also T57. Colin 74 today, 4 over for the tournament, T51. The common denominator for all those guys was they had a horrible putting day. Scotty he lost 3.27 shots to the field, 150th in the field. Brooks lost 3.93 strokes, 154th, and Colin negative 2.91, 146th. And I just wonder, why do you think all three of those guys got so confounded? I know that we've talked about Colin and Scotty's putting struggles in the past, but Brooks didn't feel like he belonged in that group, prior to what happened today.
I think it's the hole locations and where they are. There's so much grain change around where these holes are cut, and you see, it's a visually intimidating golf course on your second shots, but really on the green, when you get there, there's so much slope, and where your eyes kind of deceptively see slope and you factor in grain on top of that. And I think there's just a lot of question marks on how balls are going to finish, especially in the last 3 feet of a putt. And when a ball is slowing down, grain is in play. And from rolling balls too on Wednesday, I probably did it for 4 or 5 hours, rolling golf balls, trying to get a feel of these greens. And there would be so many times I was like, whoa, didn't see that.
Yeah.
So to your question about what happened with their putting today, I just think these greens are hard to putt on. I don't think it's just simple. I think you get putts out there that you're like, oh, I see this, but there's a lot that you're out there like, oh man, what is this gonna do?
It's so interesting because it's not like these guys don't know how to read Bermuda. As a matter of fact, that was the thing you were saying about Scotty earlier in the year. You're like, just get him to Bermuda. Yeah. It's all going to be fine. But it's this course specifically and these greens specifically where they're just very difficult to read and putt, and especially this week when they're running 13, 14 range.
It'd be cool to see. I'd always wanted to have a stat where you can see how many times a player is putting uphill on their first putt.
Interesting.
A lot of times when guys have really poor days on the greens, they're never below the hole. And when guys have really good putting days, guess where they are? They're probably uphill putting right to left.
Which, again, to go back to the Pinehurst thing, difficult to be below the hole of this course because you just run it off the false front.
Yeah.
So it's a hard place to be. And then we saw Rory de-green one and then chip in for par. But it is a tough riddle to solve out here, and those greens are tricky. So that's interesting insight on the putting. The guy I feel really, really bad for, who just narrowly missed this cut, Viktor Hovland shoots 68 today. He finishes 6 over missed cut and is third in the field in strokes gained approach. So it's like that same thing.
Is he really?
Third in the field today,
today.
Today.
I was
today.
like, brother, there's no way.
No way.
Like your stats department needs to be fired because I was out there yesterday and he was not.
But I think it's that same thing we've been talking about with him, where it's like it's like a Jekyll and Hyde thing where you think he's back. Everything the eyes test is showing you, like if you just watch his round today, you're like, how did this guy miss the cut? But it's finding that consistency, I feel like, right now. And today, if he just gets a little bit luckier, one more putt drops, or he doesn't get one of the bad breaks he got yesterday, he's probably there at 5 over, and he gets a chance to kind of go build on that in the weekend.
He definitely got some bad breaks yesterday, but also leading into the round on Thursday, I didn't feel confident about where Viktor was because of all the work that he was doing. To me, it looked like he was still trying to get all of his swing thoughts in order. Looked like to me in the first, I'd say 10 holes of the golf tournament, I could really tell that he was thinking a lot. He was spending just a tick longer over the golf ball. And where I watch players from too, 30 yards up and to the right or left, I can always tell, when a guy's swinging it well and confidently. And to me, it just looked like he was just a little late or just a little passive through the hit in the first 2 or 3 hours yesterday. And Comes out here, probably was like, you know what? I'm just showing up with this. I got nothing to lose. And a little bit of Louisville showed up. And I think there's still some gremlins in there from over the last 4 months. I really do. I mean, when you have your brain turned on, anybody knows this that's gone and gotten multiple lessons, and somebody's told you tips, or you watch too much Golf Channel, and you're watching, and somebody's telling you all the things you need to do in your game.
Are you talking to me specifically?
No, I'm
right?
talking to myself, really. This is all just therapy. Y'all are just happen to be here listening to it. You can't turn your brain off, and especially when you get on a golf course like this, as soon as you have indecision and you have question marks and you have contact, you have where not to miss it, all of your brains are signaling doubt patterns to you. Just all of the, the typical routine that Viktor has is, where's my target? What's the shot? How far am I hitting it? When you start throwing in, what's my swing thought? Where's the ball in my stance? I'm over it. Wait, what are we doing again? How far is it? Okay, do this. And next thing you know, it's too late. Rhythm's crap.
Well, and I think part of that too, like having it, losing it, and then kind of finding it again, but trying to remember if it was, is this the feel? Like, is this the thing that I'm trying to kind of find again? Or, is it going to be different now because my body's changed or whatever? Like, it's probably a weird thing to chase because you don't know if you first of all, you don't know if it's the right feel. And second of all, you don't know, like, is this, has my swing changed? Have certain things developed in this past year where it needs to be in a different position to succeed? Like he was talking about that at the beginning of the year where there were certain things he wanted to clean up, even though he was hitting it really good, which I always found very bizarre and interesting. Like, if you're hitting it good, just probably stick with that. So
let's not rule this guy out the rest of the year.
Oh, no.
I think the second half
Quite
of the
the
year is going to be
contrary.
really good. And I think we were right to not pick Viktor Hovland up to this point. It felt like it was going to be a stretch. But definitely Viktor Hovland seems like a player that
100%.
Sooner rather than later I'm going to be sending out my Hovland pick. I don't know where it's going to happen, but my one and done major streak has not been good. The Masters I picked.
No, you had Scotty the Masters.
Picked Scotty at the
free
Masters.
bingo square.
Okay, so I've won a major, missed a cut at a major, and then I've made the cut on the numbers. So pretty average stuff for me. It's kind of a bummer that you picked Bryson as I would have probably ended up picking Bryson if
that's right.
So that's a little frustrating, but it is what it is. I was gonna pick a live player, and the only other guy that's up close is Sergio, I think. So honestly, it was never gonna be my week in the live category.
You need Brooks Koepka to go out and play for some FedEx Cup points on the weekend that he's not going to receive at all. But just know that he's playing for your FedEx Cup points.
Yes,
so that's going to be a big one for you. The one I want to go out on is what you all talked about at the end of that Peacock coverage window for the day, where it was Tiger's press availability after missing the cut and just being asked about what the rest of his year looks like, and talking about, hey, look, I'm only playing one more event this year, playing the Open Championship at Troon. Definitely not going to make the playoffs right now. And, is this my last U.S. Open? Is this my last Open Championship? May or may not be. It was weird to hear those words coming out of his mouth because, like, we know it's coming, but you just don't know when. And to hear him verbalize something like that, I don't know if it's the first time, but maybe the first time that I've recognized him saying that, was just like, whoa. Like, we could be near the very end of Tiger playing major championship golf and high leverage competitive golf. It's going to be electric on the Champs Tour because I'm convinced he's going to do it. But I mean, at this level, we might be nearing the end.
Especially how we started the year, right? We come off the Hero thinking, he's going to try to play. It seemed like 12 events.
Yeah.
And then get to this year, and there was just never, leading up to Augusta, him not playing the Players Championship, it just felt like, wow, we're just in for a four event calendar for Tiger, and we all want to see that one last hurrah from him, making whether it's just finding himself in some type of contention on the weekend. We want it so bad, but you can tell how difficult it is for him because it seemed like this week, physically, it didn't look like it was that big of a struggle. As much, I know it probably was internally, but from the outside looking in, I didn't see it as much. So I think that's got to be the frustrating thing for him, thinking, man, I probably put the work in. My body felt better than any of the other majors, and I still wasn't able to make the cut. And I think it's all because of rust, the consistency, not playing enough, not having the reps. Because, man, this is the hardest golf we play all year. And showing up and not playing hardly any golf, it just feels like an impossible challenge, but no other player can do it but him. I mean, it just shows how good he is to even have a chance to make the cut.
Well, it's a great point. I think it was one that you all also made on the broadcast, is like he's showing up to play the hardest events we play all year. You know, it's going to be pretty freaking tough for someone to step into that. I mean, if there's a guy that can do it, it's him. On the physical thing, and I think this is maybe I saw Trevor Immelman talk about this on Twitter, and I think maybe Noda was talking about this on the broadcast, that, and I wonder what insight you have here as well, is that it looked like most of his misses were right, and just talking about how active his right leg was and just what's happening there.
I didn't get to
swing and
watch
syncing
him
things
play
up.
a ton, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to really say. I think we just continue to hope for the best for good weather at the Open, and maybe we'll see him have a good week.
Yeah, it could be a good spot for him. Well, all right, here's what we're doing. We're going out with one prediction from you. As of my last check, 15 players under par. How many under par when we're sitting here tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night, let's cut it in half.
I think 7, 8 under par.
Yeah, let's cut it
Love
in
that.
half.
I think we're going to have a spicy weekend at Pinehurst number 2. No
Dude,
water on the greens. Don't water the greens.
It started firming up there at the end.
Yes.
Firming up. And it was super sunny today, which helped. We have sun on the weekend as well, and heat, maybe a little bit of wind. Ooh.
Could be really good.
I know your pick's Bryson, but is there anybody that you feel like that's down the board, maybe like in that even par range or 5 or 6 back, somebody that we're not talking about that you think has a chance to have a day tomorrow?
Well, if we're kind of going down the board,
Thomas Dietrich, by the way, are we sleeping on him yet?
Dietrich. I mean, it's funny we didn't. I mean, I feel like so many times I've looked up at a leaderboard this year, and it's like, there's Thomas Dietrich again. He was second in the field today in strokes gained putting, only bested by Sam Burns. He is a guy that it really feels like he's found something. He's coming into his own. I wouldn't be shocked for him to be making. I mean, that's an easy one to say. He's sitting at tied for second at 4 under, shot off the lead. But I wouldn't be surprised if he stayed up there. I mean, Xander today, he started so strong, and then that double at 5 kind of derailed him a little bit.
It's wild that he's 1 under. To me, he has not had his best stuff at all, and it's still 1 under par in this championship in the top 10. So maybe Xander kind of finds his game a little bit, and then that's a guy. But another player, too, I just wanted to mention that has firepower. Who's a guy that's like can aim down some flag sticks, who I've been buying stock on recently?
I know who you're going to say.
Sam Burns.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
At even par, I love that.
I
thought you'd go with Akshay.
No, Akshay's a good one, too, because he can wear out the middle of the fairways and greens. But Sam Burns, to me, has the firepower off the tee to maybe – take advantage with some shorter clubs into some holes. And I'm talking about, we're talking about guys that are 5 back, but really effectively 4 back if Ludvig bogeys the first hole.
Right.
If you'd have told me, there's been plenty of events that we've covered this year that guys have had 4-shot leads on going into Sunday or going into Saturday. So a guy at even par like Sam Burns is right there, really,
Well, I think tomorrow is in a weird way going to be the opposite of what we normally see on a moving day. I feel like tomorrow's going to be an endurance test. Like, can guys just not get too antsy and feel like they need to start moving up the leaderboard and just stick to the game plan, not get too far outside their own game? Because I think that's where you're going to bring big numbers into play. And if most of these guys, even if they're a few shots off the lead, can just play their game to the point of the prediction you made, the guys that are under par are going to fall back. And if you just kind of stay under par, I think you're going to be well positioned to go into Sunday.
A final thought for you before I get to mine. What do you got?
Final thought for me? My final thought was gonna be everyone bring your bathing suits tomorrow because we're going swimming. What's your final thought?
I was gonna be golf related.
That's appropriate for this podcast.
It's kind of wild that we went this entire time and didn't talk about Rory, and I just wanted to say that my final thought is gonna be, how good would a finish be if we got Bryson, Ludvig, and Rory on a Sunday battling it out? That's like my dream. Throw in maybe a Tony Finau, a player that has not won a major, is very likable. Throw in a guy.
I mean,
he's kind of like Colin Morikawa.
We don't.
The less you say, the better.
You say the better.
Don't say anything about Tony Finau. where he be
love
now.
That. I would love, like, if the last 3 groups were some combination of, like, Ludvig, Bryson, Rory, Tony.
That's what we got tomorrow, man.
And we got and maybe like Xander makes a move.
Yeah.
Throwing Cantlay for good effect.
I think I'm just biased, and then I want Sam Burns to have a really good week. I just think
love that.
I think we forget how good of a player he is when he's firing on all cylinders. And I think shooting 300 par today, let's not rule this guy out.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
No, without a doubt. Well, that's what we got for you. As mentioned, bring your pool floaties, bring your boom boxes, your freezy pops. We are getting in the pool tomorrow. I'm speaking that into existence. I'm not going to forget my swimsuit. We appreciate you hanging with us, watching, listening. As always, we'll be right back here tomorrow night to recap moving day at the 124th U.S. Open. We'll talk to you then.
I listen to this podcast. It's really cool. And
all of our Leaderboard fans and subscribers, but make sure you like and subscribe.
It's cool to see what you guys are doing. I know golf fans appreciate it, but we do too, so please keep it up.
For all the good people at YouTube, like and subscribe.
You guys have some good takes, so I'm happy to come on and shoot the